Maybe everybody's joined. Again, we apologize for the delay, a little bit of technical difficulties there. Well, welcome. My name is Jennifer Morris. I'm Vice President at earthing.com. We have a very special guest with us today, Dr. James Oshman. He's someone I'm sure most of you are familiar with, as he's published 33 full-length scientific articles in some of the world's leading peer-reviewed academic journals, 64 invited articles in various alternative and complementary therapy journals, 6 books, and 3 United States patents. He has degrees in biophysics and biology from the University of Pittsburgh, and he's worked in major research labs around the world. He's presented lectures and workshops on earthing and energy medicine in 24 countries, and he was a contributor to the Earthing book and is featured in the Earthing documentary. So we are very excited that Dr. Oshman has prepared for you today a presentation for the 20th anniversary of Earthing. This webinar will be part 1 of 2, and it will focus on what can Earthing do for you. As always, our customer service department is here with us monitoring the Q&A section to answer as many of your questions as they can. Time permitting, at the end of the hour, Dr. Oshman will try to answer some of your questions right here on the webinar. But if we don't get to your question, don't worry, we will have a separate Q&A webinar with Dr. Oshman at a later date. So be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletter to make sure that you're in the loop regarding all of our upcoming webinars. So without further ado, welcome Dr. Oshman.
Okay.
All right.
Whoopee. Well, this is quite exciting for me. We have been working on earthing. I've been involved for 20 years, and here I am. You can read the papers that have been published by myself and our various collaborators at the earthinginstitute.net. It's been very exciting to be involved in this research all this time. There's a lot of research I've been involved in. This is by far the most exciting and important project I've ever been involved in because it can affect the lives of so many people. So happy birthday, Earthing. And this is a summary of 20 years of research and its applications to health and the feedback that we've gotten from people all around the world who are excited about the results they've gotten with earthing. What is earthing? It's also known as grounding. It's the discovery that reconnecting to the earth restores a timeless link to nature that revitalizes the body, reduces pain and stress, improves health, sleep, mood, and appearance. And I'm going to talk about all the different things that earthing can do. This pertains to your health and wellness. I'm not a physician. I can't diagnose your condition or recommend a treatment. If you think you have a health condition, please discuss it with a licensed healthcare provider. In medicine, the way to new discoveries is often difficult and challenging, and when a new discovery is made, it can be even more difficult to get it to the people who most need it. This is true even for discoveries that could resolve costly and debilitating disorders that affect the lives, comfort, happiness, and longevity of many people, and even ruin entire national economies by making healthcare so expensive. These discoveries deserve the highest priority. This is the kind of discovery that I'm talking about today. We're referring to the chronic diseases. They're defined broadly as conditions that last 1 year or more and require ongoing medical attention or limit activities of daily living or both. Chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes are the leading causes of death and disability in the United States. They're also the leading drivers of the nation's $3.8 trillion annual healthcare costs. Maybe the greatest gift that we can give to each other is a greater understanding of ourselves. 6 of every 10 adults in the US have a chronic disease, and 4 in every 10 have 2 or more chronic diseases. And these are the chronic diseases that are most significant. Around the world, millions of people have chronic pain. Millions of people are unable to fulfill their destiny, to do with their lives what they want to do. Most of us are ungrounded. And the pain has led to the opioid crisis, which is a very serious issue arising because there's so much pain. In the year 2000, a little over 20 years ago, each of these gentlemen from very different backgrounds published important papers. This is the story of how their discoveries have been verified, have continued to evolve, how they fit together, and their significance for the health of all of us. Clint Ober published a paper in Electrostatic Discharge Journal in the year 2000. That is a journal that is used by the people who every day go to work and put on grounding clothes and shoes and work in the electronics industry. They ground themselves not to protect their health, but to protect the electronic instruments that they're working with. Should they touch an instrument while they have a charge on their bodies, they can ruin the instrument. So a lot of grounding goes on. Millions of people get grounded every day, and millions more, we hope, are going to get grounded in the way that I'm talking about here. Professor Paul Ridker from the Harvard Medical School published in one of the leading journals in the world, New England Journal of Medicine, in the same year. So the work that these gentlemen did fits together incredibly. So here's a summary. Clint discovered that grounding the human body, or earthing, gives very rapid relief from many different painful and debilitating chronic disorders. He invented a suite of devices that could bring the benefits of earth contact into the home or office. Sheets, pillowcases, footwear, bracelets, pads that you can put your feet on, or a pad for your computer where you can put your wrist. These are systems that Clint Ober developed, and they're very beautifully done. Okay, these are various ways of grounding. Walking barefoot on wet sand is probably the best. Barefoot on the grass. You can plug into the grounding outlet on your electrical system, and you can connect your device to a rod that's inserted into the earth, preferably near a healthy plant. Dr. Ridker and his colleagues at Harvard Medical School reported that a sensitive marker for inflammation, known as HSCRP, is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer worldwide. This was very important work and was replicated around the world. Medical researchers around the world soon discovered that inflammation is the cause of virtually every chronic health condition. So this is why earthing is able to help with such a wide variety of health conditions. It's because they're all related to inflammation. Here's the team of researchers. 24 scientists have been beavering away for 20 years. Clint Ober wanted to know why earthing is so effective, and that's what we've been finding out. He started a revolution by discovering the numerous benefits of grounding the body. We've discovered what we need to do to help our immune systems. At the Earthing Institute, we envision the day when every human being and every pet on this planet will be grounded throughout their daily lives. When that day comes, grounding will be as important for health as good nutrition, sleep, exercise, and a positive mental attitude. This has to happen. The modern pursuit of evidence that grounding affects the body began with doctors Karol Sokol and Paweł Sokol in Poland, and Clint Ober in the US. And this has demonstrated that grounding has powerful effects on the electrical condition of the body. Everything that goes on in the body is electrical. The dynamics of blood flow, extremely important, and how to boost our self-healing and self-regulating mechanisms, specifically the immune system. Richter started a revolution that led to the discovery that inflammation is the source of all chronic diseases, and this is the reason Ober's revolutionary work on grounding or earthing affects so many health issues and has benefited so many people. The story about our first line of defense against disease, our immune systems, how they work to protect us, and how to optimize their functions. And it's urgent and important that everyone get this message. These studies are so important because of the enormous toll taken by chronic diseases. $1.7 trillion annually goes to the treatment of chronic illness, and the problem is we don't stop chronic illness before it starts. And there are ways to do that, and that's what this story is all about. Old injuries with lingering and painful inflammation compromise the health and happiness of millions of people around the world. You banged your head when you were opening the cupboard. You twisted your arm, you twisted your knee years ago. It still hurts. Why does it still hurt? That's the question. And the answer is what we're talking about. So there are two parts. I want to look at what earthing has done for people around the world. And in the next webinar, I want to look closely at the mechanisms by which earthing produces so many benefits, the science. Two main mechanisms: the walling off of inflamed tissues, which leads to continual, what's called silent inflammation. And it's not always silent, it can hurt. And number two, reduction in blood viscosity, a very important factor because every cardiovascular disease is related to elevated blood viscosity. Earthing, grounding the body, reduces blood viscosity dramatically. So this was a study done in 2013. I don't know if this video will come through. Jennifer, can you see this video?
Yes, we are seeing that.
Okay, this is a measure of the velocity of red cell migration in the presence of an electric field. And here you see at the beginning of the study, very, very slow migration of red blood cells, and half hour later, with grounding, the red cells are moving much faster. There's much less clumping, and whoop, I lost my, where did it go?
You should be able to scroll down.
Oh, here we are. Okay, and these are the people who did the study, published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. This is the clumping. Clumping is a very important factor. Here we are again. The left panels are before 40 minutes of grounding. The right panels are afterwards, and you see there's much less clumping. And clumping is important because it can have many serious problems, and this is one of the reasons earthing is so important. This is called microcapillary blockage. Blocking the clumped cells can block the flow of blood in the small capillaries, and this can create serious problems for every organ in the body. So no matter where the organ is having problems, earthing reduces the clumping and can improve the blood flow. There's a disease called sickle cell anemia. Sickle cells are sickle shaped. It's a genetic disorder with cells having a sickle shape, and they clump and block capillary flow into um, various places in the body, creating all kinds of problems. There's another serious issue called scleroderma, which involves blocking the blood flow to the skin, and the skin gets very um, unhealthy. Earthing should be known to anybody with scleroderma or sickle cell anemia, can really help them out. How inflammation occurs and why does it persist and become chronic, and why does earthing stop chronic inflammation in its tracks? And this is a summary, was published in the Journal of Inflammation Research. Here's the story. When you have an injury, you have what's called the oxidative burst. White blood cells, neutrophils, and other white cells deliver free radicals to the site of injury to destroy bacteria and get rid of damaged cells. So here is the neutrophil secreting free radicals, which are very destructive, and they're important because they can destroy bacteria and other pathogens, and they can clear what's called the repair field where the injury has taken place, and they can attack surrounding tissue, coagulating, forming what's called an inflammatory barricade, and this is a problem. And this is something we don't want to have happen, and it won't happen if the body is grounded. The barricade blocks antioxidants and regenerative cells from entering the repair field. Repair is incomplete, and the immune system continues to try to repair the damage, setting up a vicious cycle that can persist for years, leading to chronic inflammation and eventually chronic disease. We don't want the barricade to form, and it won't form if the body is grounded, because the surrounding tissue is electrically conductive and can deliver electrons from the earth, if you're touching the earth, to the site of inflammation and end the problem. So earthing or grounding prevents the vicious cycle by confining the free radicals or reactive oxygen species to the places where they're needed. And the inflammatory barricade is formed because of collateral damage to healthy tissues. So the secret to acute injury is to prevent the inflammatory barricade from forming in the first place. And the best way is to get antioxidant electrons to the area as soon as possible to stop free radical damage to healthy tissues. So if you have an injury, if you're outside, get your bare feet on the ground as quick as you can. This is the barricade. It's called an inflammatory pouch. This is from Hans Selye's classic book, The Stress of Life. And he discovered that you could create these barricades, and they form pouches in the body that you can feel, and that are the precursors of chronic disease. And they will not form if the body is grounded. Here's his story of what happens. This is normal tissue with blood flow. If there's an irritant, an infection or an injury, the blood vessel dilates, it gets bigger, and white cells come out into the surrounding tissue, and it can create a long-lasting pocket of inflammation that can eventually leak toxins into the bloodstream and cause problems anywhere in the body. And these pouches that Dr. Sellier studied have been used extensively in studies of inflammation. So it's a wall of connective tissue. It's impenetrable to dissolved antioxidants. It's impenetrable to cells that can regenerate damaged tissues. Electrons are the ultimate antioxidants. They can be semiconducted into the inflammatory pouch where they can neutralize the free radicals. And the barricade is composed of connective tissue, which is a semiconductor of electrons. Dr. St. Georgi, Albert St. Georgi, who got the Nobel Prize for the synthesis of vitamin C, first described semiconduction in proteins and was a very important discovery, not very well known. He determined that the proteins in the body are semiconductors. It's the free electrons and move through the protein network. It's the double bonds in the protein backbone. One of the electrons has to stay there to create stability, but the other electron can move through the fabric of the body. And earthing basically confirmed his important discovery, because when you're grounded, there's very rapid resolution of inflammation anywhere and everywhere in the body. And here are some of the things that have been discovered with the research that earthing does. It improves the circulation to the face and you look better. It improves blood oxygen, which is important for every function in the body. It calms digestive issues. Earthing connects the electric field of the earth, which is rhythmic, and this enables the reproductive rhythms to normalize. And in fact, everything that we have measured in relation to earthing, every system we have measured has gone towards normalization, towards balance. Balances the bone, calcium metabolism, reduces osteoporosis, joints, reduces painful joint inflammation, arthritis, enhances the body's energy system, particularly by providing electrons for the electron transport chain, balances the autonomic nervous system, reducing stress, improving sleep. Heart calms arrhythmias, lowers the blood pressure, reduces blood viscosity, reduces muscle pain and damage after exercise, enhances the immune response and speeds wound healing, slows the free radical damage connected with aging. Electrical sensitivity reduces the voltage on the body that's induced by our electrical environment and the various devices which produce electromagnetic fields in our environment. And chronic diseases prevents and calms chronic inflammatory and autoimmune diseases of all kinds. So these are the effects that we have um, discovered. I have some examples. Jen, how's our time?
We're pretty good. We have about another 25, 30 minutes left.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you some examples and put a grounding patch where it hurts. And this woman said, whenever I get a tightness in my neck and shoulder, I put an earthing patch near the site of the pain. Within 30 minutes, the pain subsides. After 45 minutes, the pain is totally gone. So these are patches that you can get at the drugstore. They're used for all kinds of electrical stimulation, for recording electrocardiograms and things of that sort. And this is a wire that goes and connects to the earth. Here's very rapid wound healing. This scratch on the face went away very quickly after the grounding patch was put right on the injury. Earthing prevents carpal tunnel, which is painful and costs a lot in terms of disability insurance to employers. And if you are grounded, if your wrist is grounded by putting an earthing pad under your keyboard, you cannot get carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel is an inflammation of the tendons in the wrist. Very uncomfortable. You won't get it if you're grounded. Allergies. Woman said, the biggest change health-wise has been with my allergies. Earthing has been like the coup de grace. I've gone through 2 pollen allergy seasons now without any problems, no symptoms. By the way, this observation and also COPD, earthing has a dramatic effect on chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, led us to write an article on COVID, because the serious problem that happens with COVID is in the lungs. The lungs become congested, that can lead to pneumonia and very serious situations. And the basic situation is if you put a grounding patch over each lung, that congestion clears up very quickly. Clint and I wrote a paper about this in August of last year. And by December, a study came out from an Iraqi journal, an Iraqi professor who actually did experiments on COVID patients and found that grounding them had dramatic effects on their health. Here's ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Woman said, over a year ago, I was diagnosed with this challenging disease, Lou Gehrig's disease. My sleep became erratic at best. My sister gave me a grounding sheet, hoping it would help settle me during the night. It really helped. Now, even if I awake in the night, I can easily go back to sleep. Arthritis and osteoarthritis and joint pain. This is feedback from people. We've gotten thousands of people who have written to us. Many say, thank you for getting my life back. Earthing has helped me to function. And this person said, relief was in the first week. Asthma. This is another reason that we did the study, the article on COVID. My friend, an emeritus professor at the university, had neck surgery. Earthing gave him major relief from the pain, post-surgical pain. He began to add grounding systems in his house and found that his wife no longer needed her inhaler for asthma after using it for 45 years. And here's the breathing channel, the bronchiole, and here it is closed down from inflammation. Asthma, difficulty breathing, constricted airways caused by inflammation. Grounding straightens this out very quickly. Atrial fibrillation, tachycardia, when the heart starts beating fast, which is a serious condition, can lead to a heart attack. One person wrote that I have not had a single episode of atrial fibrillation since I began earthing. Why is this? Does this have to do with inflammation? Probably not. This probably has to do with the electrical balance in the heart system, the heart electricity. Earthing normalizes the electric field throughout the body And that's probably the reason that it's so quickly effective for atrial fibrillation tachycardia. Autism and other childhood behavior issues. In a study of 28 parents of autistic children, earthing led to improvements in every area tested, including speech, social interactions, impulsiveness, sleep, and anger management. This is a great thing for families of autistic children and autistic children. Autoimmune diseases. Immune cells make a mistake and attack the very cells they're meant to protect. And there are over 100 different types of autoimmune disorders. And our research on the effects of earthing on the immune system and the reports of many who use earthing strongly point to a lack of grounding and the resulting, we call it electron deficiency. If you never touch the earth, you become electron deficient. And this seems to be the primary cause of virtually all autoimmune diseases, and virtually all of them are ameliorated by earthing. Here are the autoimmune disorders. There are hundreds of them. They go from A to V, A to V. I won't attempt to pronounce these, but all these autoimmune diseases are essentially the same thing. They're inflammation. And if a particular part of the body gets an inflammation, it can cause ocular problems, optic problems, diabetes, and so on. Same source, same cause, lack of grounding. Bursitis. I've spent thousands of dollars on treatments for my hip, but until now, I've never experienced being totally pain-free. Now with grounding, this is happening. These are what people are saying. Dreaming, I sleep deeper and have more vivid dreams. This happened to me when I first grounded my body at night. Improvement in mood and alertness. I noticed an effect from grounding in 3 days. I noticed it the first night. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity. More and more people are being affected by the electromagnetic fields created by Wi-Fi and other technology. People are concerned about 5G. Is that going to affect them? The first day-long use of the rubber earthing mat while on the computer, I found the usual afternoon mental fatigue was gone and I was instead alert. So electromagnetic fields, and it varies from person to person. Some people are very seriously affected by electromagnetic fields. Sleep. He was always a restless baby, incredibly happy and healthy and active, but never drowsy. We put an earthing half sheet on his bed. Since then, he falls asleep faster and sleeps much longer. It's the only thing that has helped our baby sleep at night. We depend on it heavily. Sleep is one of the most immediately observed effects of grounding. People who have insomnia, not happy about being unable to sleep, often the first time they use grounding, they fall asleep and sleep all night. Backache. My husband was experiencing back pain and thought that sleeping with the earthing sheet directly under his aching back would help, and it did. Burns. And these slides will go on YouTube, so you can read these stories. This is about a fellow who quickly healed his burns, uh, chronic fatigue, low energy, fibromyalgia. I was feeling really run down and sluggish, no energy whatsoever. A bit skeptical at first, I got grounding mats for home and office. Since I started grounding myself, I felt and slept so much better and seemed to have way more energy than before. It's very encouraging to us that people send us this kind of information. COPD, again, um, healthy bronchioles, the alveoli get plenty of oxygen. COPD, the bronchitis, which is an inflammation, collapses the bronchial tubes and causes all kinds of problems. I put the mat under my back nearest my lungs, took a nap for an hour. I noticed that very quickly I was able to breathe a little easier with my right lung. So these changes happen quickly. Eye problems. My eyesight has been getting worse over 40 years. Now it's suddenly started to improve in both eyes, near and far. The astigmatism is no longer there. The only thing that I've been doing differently is grounding. I've been doing a happy dance ever since. Hair growth. My hair has become thicker. My white hair is growing in dark. The same thing has happened to 3 of my women friends who've also been earthing since the first of the year. We all have thicker hair. Headaches. You can get fast relief using a grounded pillowcase at night or by applying an earthing patch on K1 acupuncture point. That's the ball of the foot. That's the part of the foot that touches the earth when you're walking barefoot and connects to the whole acupuncture meridian system that takes electrons to every part of your body. You can also apply a patch to your palms or directly on your forehead. Everybody's different. You might need to experiment, see which location gives you the best relief. And Ober reports that he has the best overall results by grounding people on the K1 point on the ball of the foot. Heart failure, serious cardiovascular problem, greatly relieved by decreasing the viscosity of the blood using earthing. High blood pressure studies have shown, studies done by others have shown that earthing reduces blood pressure. The reason being the blood can flow better. Hospital earthing. I see a man at the post office every day. He is an installer of flooring systems. He is grounding the floors of hospitals. Every hospital needs to have grounded floors for several reasons, and also electrical outlets are found with good grounding terminals are found throughout hospitals. The doctor may say, don't do that, but in many cases, people have taken their grounding systems to their sick friend and plugged it in the hospital when no one was looking and gotten great results. Huntington's disease, I've had involuntary movements. Now I'm sleeping much better, no longer biting my tongue. Swallowing liquids is easier. I noticed this in about a month. Indigestion, heartburn, irritable bowel, gastroesophageal reflux disease. I've been earthing for a couple of weeks now with some great relief. Pains in my body and some digestive discomfort, which it has relieved. I've had irritable bowel-like symptoms for several months, although it has never been diagnosed. Most of this has cleared up now. Inflammation, back and neck problems since a car accident. I've been using an earthing mat and bed sheet. I've experienced dramatic reduction in my level of inflammation and discomfort. Within the first few hours, I noticed a difference. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Inflammation. Inflammation can happen when you get a splinter or a poke with a pin or something else that's sharp. And here are the phagocytes, the white blood cells that release chemical signals called um, cytokines that attract other white cells into the area. And if you're grounded, This will heal up quickly. If you're not grounded, you may have a persistent inflammation, persistent swelling. Sprains. At the time I received the earthing pad, I was still recovering from a badly sprained big toe on my left foot. Quite quickly, I noticed the inflammation went away and the sprain began to heal. At this point, 4 months of use, the joint is almost completely normal. These observations I'm giving you from all over the world make sense on the basis of the research. They fit together exactly with the research we have done. Insomnia. We've only been grounded for 2 weeks. The effects are miraculous. I have a history of incorrigible insomnia since I was a teen. I've used every herb in the pharmacopoeia. The earthing bed sheet has been a godsend. The first 2 nights on it, I slept 12 hours. Lots of happy people getting better sleep. Jet lag. We earthed in France and we slept for 90 minutes upon arrival. No jet lag at all. And usually I suffer with it for 2 weeks. We were delighted that the earthing worked so well. I observed one of my colleagues arrived from across the country for a conference and she looked terrible. She said she had terrible jet lag. I said, go outside, take your shoes and socks off, stand on the grass for 15 minutes, see what happens. 15 minutes later, she came back in. She was 100%. She looked great. Knee pain, painkillers. This person was able to play tennis again. A quadriplegic. This is leg spasms. Significant reduction in pain and severe leg spasms within 2 months of grounding. The coldness he had felt for years in his extremities has been replaced by warmth, a likely result of improved circulation. It's helping me phenomenally, he said. Lupus. I spoke with my sister-in-law about her use of earthing mat and sheets for lupus and the associated diabetes and arthritis. We noticed substantial improvement while she was earthing. Lyme symptoms have responded incredibly well with earthing. I have much less headache pain, much less joint pain. Meditation. Grounding meditation is being studied. My pain is almost non-existent, sleeping like a rock for the first time in 15 years. Migraine. It only works when wrapped from head to toe in an earthing sheet or blanket. For this person, it was the best way to treat her migraines. Mood. Earthing has improved blood flow in the face and throughout the body. Mood improved within an hour. This woman with MS was greatly benefited by earthing. He wants to shout it from the rooftops. Everybody with MS needs to be grounded. It doesn't make the MS go away, but it greatly relieves the pain. Peripheral artery disease, deeper sleep, fewer times getting up at night, marked improvement in overall energy, much less discomfort on the treadmill. Pets, they love to sleep grounded, and they're less bothered by thunderstorms or by firecrackers on the 4th of July. Plantar Fasciitis, I'm an RN who suffered for 15 years. After 3 weeks of sleeping grounded with patches on both feet, I've never been bothered again. So everybody takes a different length of time to get over their painful issue, but it works very well. Post-traumatic stress disorder, if you know somebody with PTSD, tell them to check out grounding. No appointment, no medicine, no special routine, no refills, just get grounded. Pregnancy. Clint said, one thing I know for sure is that many women over the years have reported getting pregnant within 30 days of sleeping grounded. I know it's related to normalizing cortisol secretions, cortisol rhythms, and other hormonal rhythms that are adjusted by the pineal gland. Premature ventricular contractions. Here is an electrocardiogram, and you can see these premature contractions. This is a regular contraction. For the year before earthing, I had 25.6 PVCs per hour. The year after I started earthing, my PVCs dropped significantly to 14.2 per hour. They used to be noticeable, but not anymore. Prostate enlargement. I'm 76 years old, suffering from benign prostatic hyperplasia. After earthing, I can now sleep right through the night without having to get up for the bathroom. Psoriasis virtually disappeared after only a week. I am happier in general. Repetitive strain injury. After 5 weeks of earthing, using mat daily when the computer, using at the computer while watching TV, sleeping grounded nightly, my shoulder pain dropped significantly. We're going through the alphabet here, as you may notice. Restless leg syndrome. After being grounded within a day or two, I noticed the two conditions that I suffered from, restless leg syndrome and carpal tunnel syndrome, disappeared. Seizures, convulsions. Clint said, I get feedback from people telling me they sleep better, have better energy levels and less pain, and even better libido. Benefits that are in part due to better circulation, reduction in blood viscosity. If you're skeptical, go outside, go barefoot. Many people express their skepticism. We tell them, don't believe us, just go outside and sit, stand, or stroll barefoot on grass, sand, dirt, or concrete, weather permitting, of course. Eczema. Bathing in the sea is a sure thing when you have eczema. And now I understand it's probably mainly because the seashore is where grounding is best. Now I regard grounding as just as important as fresh air. Spinal issues, nerve root irritation or compression may cause sciatic pain, radiate down your leg into the foot. My spouse relieved the chronic pain in his ankle in just 2 days of keeping his barefoot on the mat for several hours. Stress, I feel more relaxation of my muscles. I cope better with stresses. I smile more, argue less, and don't feel tense. A study on the effects of earthing on stress was done by Dr. Chevalier and cardiologist Stephen Sinatra, and they did the study that shows why people feel less stressed when they're grounded. Surgery. After the arthroscopic knee surgery, I slept on earthing sheets and also used the patches. My inflammation decreased quickly, but I was also hardly in any pain at all. I never had need for any kind of pain reliever whatsoever, not even a Tylenol. That's incredible. Tattoos are very popular. I think that the pain of tattooing would be greatly reduced if the subjects were grounded. Earthing introduces a new way to reduce inflammation during and after tattooing. Teeth. I had a very sensitive tooth for 30 years, sensitive to cold water and sugar or sweetener. If I chewed on a small hard object like a seed and it pressed against the tooth, there would be a jolt of pain. After a few months earthing, I noticed the sensitivity had disappeared, indicating that the sensitivity was probably because of an inflammation. Thyroid problems, reduce the amount of thyroid medication, which makes people feel better. The so-calls in Poland, this was one of their first studies, the demonstration of the effects of earthing on the thyroid. Tinnitus, before beginning earthing, I could never sleep on my right side because of the horrendous noise in that ear. Now I sleep on whatever side my body chooses. Varicose veins, I spent 2 nights sleeping on the earthing mat. I was not expecting anything for at least a week or so. I was sort of stunned the first morning. I accidentally noticed that my varicose veins were significantly faded. Weight loss, earthing didn't help me lose weight directly. What earthing did was help me to reduce the pains that were distracting me from my weight loss and exercise program. So those are the stories that I wanted to tell you. Um, and if anybody has a burning question, I would be happy to discuss it. Um,
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Oshman. That was wonderful and very informative. We actually wanted to do a quick shout out to Robert Aaron. Our customer service department received your email this morning, and we wanted to say thank you for being a loyal follower of Earthing. Mr. Aaron has 2 children in college, and he says his family's been grounded for years and years, and he says they're all healthier than ever, and he credits Earthing as taking part in that. So thank you, Mr. Aaron. We love hearing all of your success stories, and um, we have a message here saying thank you, Dr. Oshman, for sharing the most exciting, historic, and important results to date. Um, I think that everybody got a lot out of what you had to offer here today. Let's see here. Um, Thank you, everybody, for watching and for further educating yourselves. If you haven't done so already, please follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletters to make sure that you're up to date on webinar sales and product announcements. And be sure to check out our Earthing YouTube channel. Will have this webinar loaded up there. We have all of our previous webinars as well. And stay tuned. In the future, we will have a Q&A question with Dr. Oshman. If you have any questions that we were unable to get to today, although we didn't really see any come in, but you can always email us at help@earthing.com or give us a call by phone or chat during our business hours. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Oshman. You guys all have a great day.
Thanks.